Hi, my name is John Winans. Welcome to the Spring 2021 semester of Computer Science 340, Section 2. This is presented in asynchronous form, which means the videos will be pre-recorded like this and then presented on either YouTube or Blackboard or something like that. It's the purpose of this particular video to show you where everything is, get your bearings on the handouts, how you're supposed to access the various systems, how to get in touch with me and the course TA. So let's dive right in. So the first thing you want to do is open a web browser and go to the Department of Computer Science main page at www.cs.niu.edu. Click on About, go down to Faculty and Staff, and scroll through here. Find me, John Winans. To find my page here, there's my email address if you want to get a hold of me online. This is my physical office, although during these pandemic times, I will not be there. Here is, I guess, for all intents and purposes, my office away from the office. You're in Computer Science 340, Spring 2021 right here. So click on this. And this is the page where we'll be distributing the main links to everything else, either your syllabus and some other rules and things like that, what to do. This is the schedule. Notice the word tentative here, okay? I'm trying to track other sections of the same course. The pandemic is causing difficulties with scheduling and stuff like that. Hopefully, we'll be able to stick to this schedule, all right? My point is we may have to revise this from time to time. If I make any adjustments in here, like if we're forced to move an exam, clearly, you'd want to know, right? I'll send an announcement on Blackboard if such a thing should happen. Continuing down here, here's a section that discusses the assignments. Normally I would put links to the assignments here, but this semester they're going to be by invitation to GitHub repos. You will receive links to assignment repos, and I'll do a video on how to use all that stuff when I'm done with this one, all right? And we'll broadcast those out on Blackboard. So make sure that you are looking at the announcements on Blackboard. I'll also click the little button in there that says send an email version of this announcement so that you actually get alerts to your student email address at NIU. Don't ask me to change it. I can't. It's all they're hard-coded to, your Z number at students.niu.edu. So you need to check that email address for announcements and stuff related to this course, okay? Down here will be a section for each, primary lecture component, right? So there's the introduction to the class. In fact, this is the link to the video you're watching right now. If it's too slow or I'm speaking too quickly and you don't know how, you can watch this video on how to change things on, at least on YouTube, speed up and slow down the playback. So moving along, first week of the class, we'll talk about Git and GitHub. If you do not already have a GitHub account, you'll want to sign up for one, all right? Because we're going to use that to host the repos for your homework. You'll be handing your homework in by way of GitHub, so you'll have a lot of trouble in the class if you can't access GitHub. If you have trouble with that, like I said, there'll be an introduction video in here, and I'll go over what's supposed to happen in there, okay? There'll be a little bit of review from time to time that I'll add to the website here. These are not necessarily primary lecture videos, but they tend to be things that students quite often seem to have forgotten how to do, okay? So at a bare minimum, you need to be really good at these topics. Otherwise, you will never get your output right and you'll lose tons of points on the homework, okay? So this is being handed to you on a silver platter here, all right? So please watch these or at least skim through them to make sure you know the material that's in there, okay? Now, this section of the course, I'm going to require you to use Doxygen-style comments. There's a whole video in here on what happens when you use the Doxygen comments, and I talk about down here. I mean, we're not going to mandate that you run it and create all these complicated reports that can come out of it, but you might want to do that anyway, just for yourself, because it could be very useful. And it's already installed on Turing and Hopper, which is where you'll be required to have your programs execute, at least for this section of the course. And if you want to run it at home, you can. It'll run on a Mac as is. It'll run on a Linux box as is. There's standard packages. This thing's decades old. It's well known and used widely. On Windows, you may have to install WSL. All right, and here's a link to the Microsoft website on how to do that if you want to run it on your own machine. Okay, and in this video, there's a link down here to the file that I use to configure Doxygen. Again, watch the video here. You'll see it in there. And you might ask yourself, gee, wouldn't it be nice if I had a copy of that file? Well, here it is, okay? So let's go back up to the top here and look at some of these notes up here. When you send email, I need to know what you're talking about. All right? I can see half of the class right now in my mind rolling their eyes. I mean, I would if I was you. But look, a lot of students will send blank subject lines and an email body like, when's the next assignment due? All right? Now, if I don't know the section of the class you're in or even the class you're in, you're not the only student in the universe, okay? I need context in order to answer and respond to questions. If you give me a blank subject line, you'll probably get stuck in a spam filter. I won't even get your email, all right? Don't send advertising and garbage also. Again, it'll probably get stuck in a spam filter and thrown away, okay? You must tell me what... you must give me context. That's what I'm asking for here. And this thing down here is saying the same thing. You have a question about your code, don't send me a half a line of code and expect me to know what you're talking about. If I have to be able to run your code, send me a copy of the code, all right? Or connect to me via Teams or something like that. We'll share the screen and you can, present it or whatever live. We can have a live conversation, all right? If your prerequisite courses are rusty, click on this. Last fall, I taught CompSci 501, and it turned out that due to the pandemic and so on, this course kind of slowed down a little bit. It got disrupted, okay? And my point is it kind of devolved into a variation of Computer Science 241, which is the prerequisite for this course. If you go down here, every single one of the videos for this course are online on YouTube. You need help with copy constructors? Click here and grab a video on how copy constructors work, okay? So do not let yourself fall behind because you don't have the prereqs or, you've gotten rusty or something like that, all right? That's the point of that whole link, all right? I do this as a favor to you. I don't mandate that you watch 16 weeks of lectures in addition to this course. This is just here in case you need a review. Instructor detail here, how to contact me. There's my email address again. These will be the office hours for the spring 2021 semester. I will be on Microsoft Teams for live dialogue in these times or by appointment. And if you want to meet some other way, that's fine too, but you're going to have to let me know in advance in order to schedule that time. Your TA, email address, office hours, and again by appointment here. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the course syllabus. It's your responsibility to have read this and understand it. Like I said, I'm trying to coordinate this course with the leader of the course. The coordinator of the course is in another section. So what I've done here is just cut and pasted the syllable from his course, Mike Papka's Section 1 course, all right? So these are the same grading percentages and weights that he proposed for this course. If we diverge, okay, then that's fine. It's nothing wrong with that. But this syllabus here is the official syllabus for Section 2. Just because somebody in Section 3 changed something doesn't mean it applies to you, okay? My intention is to keep things synchronized, but that is not a requirement. And if there's ever a conflict or discrepancy, the rules in this syllabus take precedence, okay? Just so we're all clear on this. Do not react to a bunch of, haphazard rumors. Here's your grading scale. A 90, 80, 70, 60 scale is what this really boils down to. Anybody under 60% is an F, right? Grades. I'm going to post the grades will be in a grade book in Blackboard. If you've been at NIU before, I'm sure you're familiar with this already. If there's a problem, you need to contact your instructor right away so we can fix, errors in the grade book. Again, don't wait till finals week, okay? or even after the grades have been posted. Too late. You know, you need to keep up on this if there's an error in there. We'll keep it up to date as quickly as we can after assignments are graded and so on. Do not ask when grades will be posted. They're posted when they're posted, okay? Just go look in Blackboard and you'll find them there. If you can't find this, you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a link in the main course webpage over here, how to use Blackboard, right? I just backed up here. So here's a link to the NIU official site on how to use Blackboard. All kinds of links in here, right? If you're totally disoriented, ask your TA or myself, and we'll gear you back in there. Okay, back to the syllabus here. Required text. And we're going to actually have required readings out of this text. If you look at the schedule, right here, here's the chapters involved. The required readings for each one of these weeks. These readings, there will be material on these quizzes and exams and the final exam from the book. If you do not have the book, you will be in trouble, okay? You must get a copy of this book. Enough said, all right? There's some other suggested texts. C++ at this point is decades old. We will be using the... not quite a decade old version, right? The C++ 11 and or C++ 14 specifications, which is what, a 6-year-old version at this point. So the compiler should be relatively debugged and widely available by now for the features that we hope to use in this course, all right? Attendance policy. Well, this is asynchronous and online. Again, you're required to understand you're responsible for understanding all the material in these lectures that are the videos, the handouts, and the assigned readings, okay? If you don't want to watch a video, don't watch it. I'm not going to know. There's no tracking per se. I can't tell who sees these. Is the honor system. You don't watch them, that's on you. If you're a genius, great. Maybe you'll pass everything and not have to do anything. This is totally up to you, okay? Exams, the exact dates of the exams, all right, they'll be announced at least a week before the actual date, okay? And there'll be some flexible time in there. This is an asynchronous course. They're usually, in courses like this, I make them available for like 24 hours, so you can like take it in the morning or the night or whatever. If you have an accommodation of some kind for one exam, do not assume it applies to all the exams or quizzes or the homework, okay? Final exam is an asynchronous course, so we don't have an official time for the final exam. I'll have to look at the university for guidance on how this works. If it's like last fall, what I'll do is it'll end up on like the first day of exam week or maybe the second day or something like that. We've got plenty of time to figure this out. I'll post a note in Blackboard and we'll discuss it a little bit. If everyone has 10 exams on Monday, maybe we'll move it back or something like that. All right. But we need to resolve that right away. And like I said, I'll be looking at towards the university for guidance because they have the final word in how the finals are scheduled, okay? If you have a problem with the final exam, you must contact your instructor prior to the exam, okay? You can always move it to another date or accommodate you in some other way, but, there's got to be a good reason for it, not just because, please, right? Programming assignments. Now, this website repeatedly says this thing right here, okay? And I can't stress enough. Some students I've had in the past end up with, failing grades on an assignment anyway. They get a 0 on an assignment because it doesn't compile or run correctly on the machine hopper, which the assignments are supposed to run on, okay? It does not matter if it works for you or your brother or your uncle on some other machine and something. It's irrelevant, okay? When you do a homework assignment, it must build and run on Hopper or Turing. There's two machines, they're a mirror image of each other. Either one of those two is fine, but they are the computer science machines at NIU. That's where the official grading, compiling, and running will take place. Can't stress that enough. Do not get caught up in the but it worked in Windows or something like that, okay? Just don't go there. If you have a grading problem, all right, first talk to your TA. The TAs are going to be grading the homework. Contact them. If there's an error or something, they can correct it. If you cannot resolve it with the TA, then come and talk to your instructor. If you're doing this via email, don't just send your instructor an email with zero history. Include the entire email discussion that took place before with the TA when you send an email to your instructor. Context is everything. I can't stress. No blank subject lines. Don't just say one word, help. No, useless, right? Think of that. What does it mean? Context, history. Remind us what's going on, because you're not the only person on the planet. We have other things. We have other responsibilities. And it goes on and on. What happens if it's late and so on? You're responsible to know everything in here, okay? The short of the late policy is for this section of the course. Okay, other sections might be different. This one will be you lose 10% of your score for every 24-hour period that you hand in the assignment late. Anybody that submits an assignment more than 48 hours late will get a 0 on that assignment, okay? Program assignments that are due in the final week of the class may not be turned in late at all because, we're going to run out of time. We can't grade them. Okay. Again, this will be, I'll probably remind you of this as we go, but it's in the syllabus. That's the rule. Okay. If we post a solution to an assignment, then clearly you cannot implement it at that time. Same thing with quizzes, exams, anything else. If you're ill or something like that, you need to keep us informed. Keep us, and you can't come in and, much after the fact and say, oh, I got to revise history. Okay, that's what's going on down here. Again, has to compile and run on this machine. I'm going to grade your homework based on this scale here. This may differ from the other sections, and we may decide to revise this. Okay, I'm just pointing this out. For now, this is how I'm planning to do this. This video is being recorded before the first week of class. The other sections haven't finalized their syllabus yet, so we may revise this. If I do, I'll send you an announcement on Blackboard. I actually think this is probably pretty fair. This is a result of some student opinions in the past and teacher evaluations and stuff like that, okay? You read all the details inside here, okay? Your computing account. Your account, you actually have two that you have to concern yourself with that relate to NIU, okay? You have one that has to do with logging into Blackboard. And if you're on campus, this is your Z number and accessing the Wi-Fi and stuff like that, all right? That's an account. That's your university account, okay? And if you have trouble with that, you need to call the ITS service desk at this phone number right here, okay? To get your password reset or something like that, okay? I can't do it. I'm not a system administrator. I don't own the university, or I would, okay? But don't ask me to do it. Just contact this phone number. Hi, I'm a student. I need help, okay? That said, that account is completely different and independent of the login that you use to access these Turing and Hopper machines in the computer science department, okay? So if you have trouble with these accounts, you have to contact the system administrators at the email addresses given down here, okay? I can't log into Turing. Don't ask your instructor. I suggest strongly that you carbon copy the email to the instructor, myself, so that I know you're having trouble, okay? Don't just sit there and stew for a week because one of these guys is on vacation or something like that. Carbon copy me so I'm in the loop. Context, keep me informed. Otherwise, I can't help you if I don't know you have a problem, okay? Anyway, we'll talk more about this account and how to get on these machines in another video when we talk about accessing the university systems, your first assignment and stuff like that, if you don't already know. Getting help, you contact the TA. You just saw the contact information on the course website for this course, right? And the usual and obvious statements, start early, don't procrastinate and stuff like that. If you're sending email, again, understand you're not the only person on the planet. Don't wait until 5 minutes before the thing is due and then help me. We may not be available because guess what? You're not the only one asking for help at that time. So don't let things go too late. If you need an accommodation for any reason, contact the DRC office with this email address here, or you can call them direct here. If you don't know what this is, then it may not apply to you. FYI, if you're if this course was on campus and face to face in a lecture hall, for example, you may need to contact the university and request that there be wheelchair access or something like that. Okay, so if you have a need for some sort of an accommodation that's recognized by the university, I'm sure you already know about all this. Okay, but this is how you can contact them. Cheating. Okay. Cheating absolutely will not be tolerated. Okay. University says don't do it. Don't plagiarize. Don't copy your work. Anybody that's caught cheating is going to end up with a 0 on that assignment. Plus, there will be some substantial misconduct penalties to your final grade in the course. All right. You know dang well when you're cheating. If you're caught, you're going to end up with whole letter grade reductions, if not an F, for the entire course. Okay, this also is something you may not think of. Okay, if you want to be mischievous or something, the machines like Turing Hopper and Blackboard and stuff like that, these are government-owned computers. There are federal and state laws that apply to anybody being mischievous on these machines. You could end up in a lot of trouble by screwing around just for joke, sabotaging the machine just for laughs. The next thing you know, literally, I don't know if it's treason, but you can end up with some serious trouble. So don't screw around with the machines. You're going to just get into trouble. And one last comment, okay? Any and all parties that are involved in a cheating incident are going to end up getting penalized. So what's the point? If you allow someone to steal your code and they hand it in, they've cheated, okay? And we have no way of knowing that they stole it from you or if you stole it from them. And so what's the point of this paragraph here? Don't leave your laptop open in every Starbucks, okay? Especially if you're with a bunch of other students in the same course. Even TAs get their stuff stolen. I've had this happen in the past. So lock your screen, close your laptop, whatever it takes. Don't let your stuff get stolen, okay? If you do notice that something's stolen, let me know right away, and especially before anything's handed in, we may be able to resolve this in your favor, okay? So again, keep us informed. Something bad happens, let us know, otherwise we can't help you. Now, having said all that, we certainly expect you to discuss things together. You're going to be looking on the internet for help all the time. Absolutely, you want to do stuff like that. But you can't go cut and paste in whole functions or even whole assignments, okay, from, other Stack Overflow or GitHub accounts and stuff like that. All right. You know darn well when you're cheating, don't do it. If we catch you, you're going to end up with a serious grade penalty. All right. Okay. So that's basically the rundown of where everything is and what you're supposed to do. There's a few other bullets in here. Okay. There's a whole video on documentation standards here. That's down here at the bottom of this page. I posted this video yesterday. Go ahead and give it an eyeball. It's going to show you how to use this Doxygen system, why I want you to use it. Okay, it's really a neat thing. Here's a link here. What it really boils down to, by the way, for you, if you're going to write a function like this, document it like this. Enough said, okay? Put this @param thingy in here to define the purpose of this parameter here. Okay, an @param with another parameter over here for search name. All right, this is not hard to do. Okay, read this part. All right, just look this over. This is kind of a structural thing that says, oh, here's what all these things mean, and you can say here's the return value and so on. And if you know specific things about the function that a user might want to know, you can put notes and warnings and disclose bugs and things like that. All right. This is a link to the same video on how to run it if you want to run it. And this is a link to the configuration file that I had mentioned before. Okay, and here's the official Doxygen website, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's what's going on with this Doxygen stuff up here. If you need to get access to the department servers, there's a system called PuTTY and FileZilla if you're stuck on Windows, because Windows doesn't have a native mechanism for this as far as I know. If you install WSL on Windows, it will have a Linux terminal that pops open and will work the same. That's what I use. I don't use Windows, but I use Linux. And if you install WSL and you open a Linux window, you're using the same sort of a thing that anybody on a Macintosh has, because Mac is really Unix, and Linux is a thinly veiled copy of Unix. And WSL stands for Windows Subsystem for Linux, I believe. And it is Linux, which is, again, Unix. Okay, so download instructions are going to like follow the bouncing ball, right? You've seen this before. Optional ways to fancify the app if you want. Down here is a link that says, here's how you connect to the Unix servers, right? Again, follow the bouncing ball. Read this paragraph right here at this point in your accessing the system. If this is your very first time that you're going to connect to Hopping and Turing and Hopper, it will say access denied. Wait a minute. Close your app, start the app back up, and log in a second time, right? Because the very first time you log in, the system has to activate your account, okay? And it does it kind of like reactively. It's kind of some weird thing. So you have to log off and then come back in again, all right? So this is the only real big takeaway here, all right? So again, this is all pretty straightforward stuff. Look at the instructions here for the various things. If you're on Windows and you like GUI stuff, I don't personally like these things, but if you like them and drag and drop and clicking on things and move files around, this is kind of a neat graphic way to move files back and forth between, your PC and Turing and Hopper if you need to transfer them back and forth. In this particular course, we're going to be using Git and GitHub, which should completely alleviate the need to do this. But the point is, if you want to do this manually, there's an app that you can do it. On Mac and Linux users, or if you got WSL going, you can just use a command line SCP thing, which is real easy, and there's even a little Wikipedia page for it right here. The command looks like this. It's just like copy a file. I copy this file to some other place. Well, the only thing here is you need to move it to a different machine, right? So this is secure copy a file to your Z number at, hopper.cs.niu.edu, and then you say where it's supposed to go. This is, how anybody that wants to write scripts, automate things, and all that sort of stuff, you need command line tools to do that sort of thing, all right? And you might even be doing that by the time you get messing around with Git by the end of the class, if you want to be super efficient and things like that, all right? So I think we've skimmed through each one of the links in this page. You should know what they're all about. You know how to get to this page. So this is the overview of the whole course and how I hope to interact with you to keep saying, hey, here's a new lecture, here's some handouts that go along with the lecture on how to use Git and stuff like that, all right? And of course, this is in addition to the handouts, or rather the assignments themselves, right, that I said earlier will be sent to you as announcements, I should say, in Blackboard. All right, so thanks for watching. Hope the semester goes well. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.